As the spiritual journey unfolds, as I'm depicting it here, but in general it unfolds this way no matter how it's depicted, from form to formlessness, the world of distinct objects, of hardened subjects, of me and mine, starts smoothing, becoming more translucent, more permeable. More things can get in. When we're a solid rock of ourselves, everything is deflected. We have a lot of defenses. We keep things at bay to keep the protection of the rock as a solid thing. But as we start moving away from the reality of being a rock into the truth, away from the assumed reality of being a rock into the truth of our translucence, we have to be willing to release some of the ways that we have built ourselves around that granite solid me. And the way to access that is through the organ of the heart, because the heart is translucent. It's not going somewhere. When we go somewhere, we have a very definitive action we're taking and direction we're moving within that keeps us feeling as if we, the sense of I, is moving deliberately to some place. And that keeps us feeling very solid and impermeable in the direction we're taking. But the heart is very wide open. It's affected by life. It feels the effects of life. It feels the sensitivity, the nuances of life. And for the heart to open, we have to have settled sufficiently within ourselves, releasing the protective mechanism that keeps us tight and tense and solid, and allow life to come in. Now that is very disturbing to many of us, because we have to release some of our tendencies to self-protect, to keep reconditioning the same script of ourselves over and over again, rewriting ourselves, reforming ourselves. But a beautiful journey of that, towards that end, is just sitting. What we're doing here in the room, we're just not moving. That non-movement is an opening, is a receiving. We can't receive and stay formed. When we start receiving, we're no longer granite hard. We're in transformation because what we receive changes us. We become the creation itself when we receive. Now we can receive and opinionate, and that's just keeping us the same. Oh, this is no good, and that's no good, and I have to do this, and what I really need to do is that. I've got to go back on my breath. I've got to form a more solid practice of mindfulness. And all of the ways that we impose the solidity of our opinions upon ourselves recreates ourselves in terms of that solid and impermeable entity called me. But when we're just open to life, when life can get in, we feel the preciousness of it. That's the access point to love, to compassion, to joy, to caring. That access point and those adjectives associated with it, caring, love, verbs, those are the transforming elements. Those prove that the movement from a solidity, that there's a movement out of our solidity towards the transparency of formlessness. And as we allow more and more of ourselves to be open, to feel that transparency. We sense the sacred. We sense not just life is getting in, but presence is there as well. Instead of trying to move ourselves from solidity into the solidity of presence, we have to move ourselves from solidity into the open expression of formless sacred, the formless sacred, which is where presence is found, where the unmanifest, the formless is found and discovered. So we have to evaluate and look at our practice as whether it's opening us up beyond the need to keep self-redefining. Is it truly in the direction of the spiritual journey, of the way the Buddha was pointing? How much is getting in? How much am I defending myself against anything getting in? One of the ways that we remain ourselves perpetually is in and through motion. I'm here, I've got to be there. Restlessness, when we act out our states of mind, because we believe the states of mind to be us, to be who I am. When we are restless and defining ourselves as a restless person, then we are impermeable to presence, to awareness. We are simply following whatever the mind tells us we are. And the mind will always tell us we are something in need of something, of some additional improvement. So when we're restless, if we follow that, we are simply obeying what the mind is telling us in terms of the solidity of me. I am restless, and I have to come to a point in which I am no longer restless. I am depressed, and I have to surmount this depression. I am anxious. I am whatever, fill in the blank. There's another way to do that, and that is to receive the state of mind as a part of what life is bringing to us, but not defining the state of mind as being who I am in this moment and needing an alternative to that definition. There is no alternative to what the life that is now being lived is revealing. And to open to that, to allow ourselves to be affected by that, but not defined by that, means that we feel the entire range of what life has to offer. But we are permeable throughout that experience. If we feel restless, perhaps the best thing to do is just to sit there and feel it, not to act it out. It only has a limited quantity before it moves on, and something else will take its place. Unless we keep asserting the need for us not to be restless, and then we keep encouraging it forward within the content of our consciousness, and it doesn't go away as quickly. It seethes in there with the reaction we're having from it. Recreating ourselves over and over again, even as we are The heart is attempting to release it. We are refreezing, reconditioning it back into ourselves. You see it? You sense this? We have Buddhist statues behind us to represent the sacred. That's form trying to represent the formless. But in and amongst everything is the formless, waiting to be revealed, waiting to be received.